Facebook facing backlash after briefly taking down Alabama Governor Kay Ivey's campaign page.
Our investigative reporter Brendan Kirby is live in the studio, and Brendan, Facebook says that this was an error.
Yeah, that's right, Shelby and Lanice. Regardless of the explanation, though, this has become the latest chapter in an ongoing debate over Facebook's role in politics. Alabama Governor Kay Ivey's campaign announced Facebook censors had struck over the COVID-19 vaccine. It set off a firestorm in political circles. The campaign issuing a defiant statement from Governor Ivey, quote, "If big tech thinks they can silence us and that I won't fight back, then honey, they haven't met me. They have another thing coming. I'm not backing down. I never will. We're fighting Washington. We'll fight big tech too." The post that the campaign says drew the ire of Facebook was one on Friday in which Governor Ivey pledged to stand in the way of President Joe Biden's vaccine mandate. But Facebook says the page incorrectly was flagged as an imposter account. The company sent this statement, quote, "Earlier today, the governor's campaign page was mistakenly restricted for less than an hour for reasons unrelated to any posted content. When we learned of our mistake, the page was quickly restored." Facebook's critics, though, say the incident highlights the inordinate power that Facebook and other social media companies have. Ryan Hartwig worked for a company hired by Facebook and spent 2 years as a content monitor. He wrote a book last month accusing the tech giant of treating conservatives more harshly.
I have at least 40 examples of them being biased towards one side. Facebook does have a bias. I mean, it's beyond just anecdotal, it's not just a talking point for Republicans to play the victim. This is actually ongoing.
Dr. Robert Epstein is a senior research psychologist at the American Institute for Behavioral Research. He says his research shows Google alone shifted 6 million votes in the 2020 presidential election. He says Facebook hasn't been as aggressive as Google, but argues it also is biased against conservatives.
Sometimes they say it's a mistake and then they fix it, and sometimes they just take it down permanently. The question is, do we want private companies like Facebook and Google to have that kind of power? I don't think they should have that kind of power to do this to anyone for any reason.
Alabama State Auditor Jim Ziegler, a frequent Ivey critic who is exploring a Republican primary challenge against her, says the controversy helps distract attention from her successful push to raise the gas tax, her unsuccessful attempts to build an Interstate 10 toll bridge, and other issues.
This action by Facebook, mistake or not, will actually help Governor Ivey with the Alabama voters that, frankly, she needs help with.
Facebook has been a favorite target on the right. It's banned former President Donald Trump, but it's also drawn fire from some on the left who argue that Facebook hasn't done enough to police what they call misinformation. Reporting live from the studio, Brendan Kirby, Fox 10 News.